first female podcast guest.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Are you balling or are you just chilling?
Definitely not balling. I have a casual job. I'm not earning big or anything. I may as well give it a try because in 3 years' time I might be way better off than I am now, and I can continue doing it indefinitely. If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it right.
Why are no girls in our community, or very few?
It's not very aesthetic. It's just made 30 grand, yes, kind of male
Boys,
energy,
boys.
woo.
Does that make you think it's fake when you hear those crazy figures?
I was kind of if these guys are scamming people, they would have been on the news. In the newspapers, on the news, scammers. I've been curious, and that's why I'm kind of on this journey, but I think a lot of people are kind of just why would you do that? Why would you invest all this time and money and resources into this where you're kind of doing well already, just happy with life? And I'm just kind of I always want that extra challenge, do it for the fun. I like to add a few things onto my story. So when I am a bit older, I've got some interesting things to say. I don't want to be a boring old person.
Stella, welcome to the office.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
I'm actually looking forward to this one as well. Something very, very different. First female podcast guest.
Yep. I'm excited about it.
Yeah. There's nothing to live up to. So you're the best so far. So welcome. I want to start off. We had a free call 3 weeks ago now, I reckon. 2.5 weeks ago.
Yep.
How did you find us? And why are you here?
Well, actually, it's a funny question because I was on holiday with a few of my family friends. We were skiing and I was just kind of my mum had given me the look you're kind of getting to the age where you kind of have to be on your own. And I was yeah, okay, 100% fair enough. I have a job, work part-time at university. And then I was having a few conversations with my family friends who have older children who have also been through university, and I was just kind of getting their view on it, what their kids kind of did when they kind of decided that they were on their own as well. And one of my family friends was yeah, well, one of my sons was a professional bettor, and I was oh, cool, chatted a little bit about it, but she just didn't really know what went on behind the scenes. He kind of just did his own thing. But it kind of stayed in the back of my mind, and then I got back to university and I was just really intrigued and looked it up, and I was just kind of looking up things how to bet and never lose, and how can I, kind of rig the system so I can bet and always win. And I kind of went down a rabbit hole. And then I kind of stumbled across, you guys had a free course, and I was oh, this is really interesting. Stalked you on Instagram, saw that you kind of had a few profiles. I actually saw that a few of the people that I was mutual with followed you. So I was oh, okay, seems, fine. I was can't be a scam. This seems legit. And so then I kind of found you on YouTube, found out you had a podcast, which was big for me because I listen to a lot of podcasts. And I was kind of Spotify wouldn't have anyone who's not legit. And so, because that was my main thing, is I was seeing your YouTube videos that was so-and-so made 30K in a month. I was kind of really? Is that real? It's too good to be true kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so then when I was going down the rabbit hole, I was cross-checking on all different platforms, YouTube, all of that. And then I was oh, okay, seems legit. So I was looking at match betting. It was all real. It was all legal, all that kind of stuff. So then I was I've got nothing to lose. I'll do the free course. Signed up to the free course, and it was kind of telling me my progress. It was you're in the 10% of people who have nearly finished the course. And I was oh, okay, a bit of motivation. That's cool, seeing the stats. And obviously through the free course, I kind of realized that it was legit. I could do it. Anyone could do it. And yeah, I really liked how you guys kind of stepped you through the processes and was showed you real time, literal screen recordings of you guys placing bets and stuff, all of that. The double dutching and all of that kind of stuff. So I was this is real. This is legit. And then I booked the free call.
Yep.
with you, which was like 2 weeks ago, and I just kind of thought to myself, like, you know, I've got nothing to lose. Like, I'm either gonna invest money into your Platinum Squad, the system, or I'm gonna just kind of like have learnt something really cool and like, you know, I know what match betting is now, so that's good enough for me. And then I called with you and I was kind of like, yeah, this guy seems legit, like all that stuff, like fired all my questions. Like I was probably a little bit rude.
No, I don't think you were rude, but you definitely had a lot of questions, which is good. Most of the, I guess, people that are willing to have a fair income crack at this do have a lot of questions. As you can imagine, you said you come across it online, you don't know much about it. These numbers sound astronomical and you're like, well, obviously if this was real, everyone would be doing it, so it's not real. And that was actually one of your questions. Straight up, you're like, well, if this is all real, why are people gambling?
Yeah.
And we'll touch on that a little bit later. When you say legit, because this is, I think, a thing that a lot of people that watch our content or see some of the stuff in the free course, they do grapple with this idea that there's no way that it's real. When you say that you realized that it was legit, what made you realize that it was legit, and what do you actually mean by that?
Well, I think like the massive thing for me was I was just like, as you said, like, how can this be real? And I don't know if it's like movies I've watched or like just things being kind of like fed into my ears, but I was just like expecting like me to, you know, invest the money into your Platinum Squad and then it to be like, haha, like pranked you, like got your money. And I was kind of just like, oh, like imagine if that happens. But I think you kind of get to a point where you're just like, okay, what you guys are saying is real. Like you can, like I could go off and like do it by myself. Like I could have like not invested, like all of that kind of stuff. And I could have done really well for, as you say, like 2 months. And then like, that's it. Like that's your kind of match betting over because you're going to get banned from the bookies. Like it's just going to be like a kind of quick win. Great, did well, see you later, like move on. And I was kind of like, I was wanting to invest and kind of invest time and like energy into doing something right. Like when I heard you were kind of like saying, if you invest into the Platinum Squad, like we teach you we teach you sustainability and we teach you how to set up your accounts and stuff. And for someone who's never betted before, I was just like, I'm on like a fresh, like clean slate. I may as well do it right. So like I wasn't going to like kind of jump into it, like make some rookie errors when I could invest all of this money and be like way better off in like 2 years, 1 year. That was my kind of outlook on it. Yeah,
fair. I don't think many 20-year-olds think like that at all.
I don't want to generalize, but I feel like males are more impatient. Females normally take a little bit more time to think what they're doing through, generally. And I think what you're studying, you're in like a financy, I don't know if you want to talk about that. Do you reckon that is why you think like that or not?
I think it's more just like, well, one, how you value money. And like I was also just at a point where, as I said, like I was at a clean slate. Like I had never placed a bet before. Well, you know, like go to the races on the weekend with your mates, like put $10 on a horse, like.
But cash, right?
Yeah.
Not on an app.
Yeah, like I've never set up an app, that kind of stuff. And so I was kind of just like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. And if I'm going to invest that money, I want to have done it from a clean slate so that I can kind of like build up in the right way. And you guys have obviously had experience. You've like mentored a lot of people through it. So I didn't really want to just be like naive and kind of like download all this stuff because I had never downloaded a betting app before. Like I'd never signed up. So I was like, you know, like I could have to like make a fake name. Like I could have to like, you know, I didn't really know what was involved. So I was kind of like...
No, that's elite. That those are some of the things that you even thought about. Like, oh, if the bookies know my real name, like they won't let me use the promotions and stuff and make money. And that was one of your biggest fears on the call was like, well, you talk about getting banned. So like what? All my money just gets stuck in there and then it's gone. That
was one of my like massive fears is because you were also saying that you invest this money, but once you invest it, like, because I went also down a rabbit hole of being like, how much do I have to start with? Because, you know, I'm like, I have a casual job. I'm like not earning big or anything. And I'm trying to balance that with uni. And so definitely investing, like I would have had to put a good sum of money like away. So I was kind of like, what kind of benchmark do I need to get to that I'm like, okay, awesome, I'm ready to invest. Like I have enough to invest in your Platinum Squad, watch all the content, and then like how much do I need to like invest into the Bookies so then I can like start my process kind of thing. And so I think I watched some YouTube videos. I think JP,
The one on the table, I think.
Yeah, I think you were kind of talking about it, and you were like kind of around 2K is what you want to at least have, because then you can put that money in, you can not see it for a while basically. And like I think that's where also I kind of had the mentality of like, I'm in a really lucky position. I know not everyone's in the same position as like I am, but if like I don't have like a rent or like a mortgage to pay, and like that's kind of why I wanted to start this process like early, was because I was kind of like, if I do make this investment and it doesn't go very well for me, I just zero out.
Yeah.
Like I zero out, I go back to the start. And that's why I was kind of like, if I invest this money into the Bookies, like, can I just withdraw it if they ban me?
Yeah.
And that's why I was kind of like, not sure. But
yeah, because you're like, well, if I get banned, then like,
is it stuck
then
in
it's
there?
stuck.
Like,
Yeah. Which is fine. That's a pretty
$200
That's
in
a pretty
there.
common kind of belief,
Yeah.
especially because the way that JP hounds you about getting banned, everyone's like,
Yeah.
shit. Well, then
I was like, oh my
then
God.
I'm stuffed. I want to like peel it back a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Before match betting, before this like even like popped up on your radar, what was your first thought when your mum's like, you know, that's it, in terms of like, you know, you're out, you're going to start fending for yourself. How were you thinking about making money? Like, what was your first thought?
Well, I think like my first thought was, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to go out 3 times a week with my friends. Like, really, that's all you really want to do at this age. Like, you're like, want to go out, you want to have experiences, you want to live life, like all of that kind of stuff. And I think when mum was kind of like, all right, like you're kind of on your own, like fully like, yep, I get it. Like I was like, yes, I just kind of need to like, you know, like I went straight on Excel, like made a budget plan.
Yeah, right.
Like I was like, this is how much is going out. Like this is how much is coming in. Like what can I kind of like, what's my like, you know, 70, 30, 20 or whatever it is, the savings, spendings, all that stuff. Because also like you want to have a little bit like away for like a rainy day. If like your friend's like, let's go to Bali, you're like, cool, like I can, or like, nah, I can't. Like, so yeah, so that was just like a different frame of mind for like saving and spending and all of that stuff, which I feel like everyone gets to at a point in their lives.
For sure. So there wasn't like a, oh, I'm just going to work more hours, or for you, because the way that I got the sense of this on the call was like, as soon as you got that kind of realization, or your mum was like, this is what's happening, you just started to think of ways in which you could make money, because you were like, oh, I'm thinking about doing this, or am I going to like invest? I think you were looking at like proper investing into like stocks and shares.
Well, like I think investing is something that I want to do in my lifetime. And I think that when I stumbled across you guys, the fact that I could kind of decide what my investment made in a sense, because if you invest more time, if you invest more money, if you invest more energy essentially into it, you're going to make more. So it was like say with a stock, it can go up, it can go down, like it can crash and just never come back. Whereas like this is kind of like you can crash to zero and you're like, that's it, you know, so you can never like decrease it in a way. Like I talked to you and you were like, it's like a tap, like you can like turn it on and you can turn it off when you want. And because that was another thing that I was worried about, is I was like, if I'm having a holiday somewhere, like I don't want to be like madly on my computer, like, you know, match betting and all that stuff. So I was kind of like, is this something I can kind of just like lock and leave? And you're like, yeah, it is. Like the amount of time and energy you do put into it, what you put in, you get out.
Correct. Yeah. And there aren't actually that many. Are there that many side hustles where that's kind of the case? Like it's just,
you're in full control of everything. It's hard to say this, but everything you do apart from match betting, I see as gambling. But to say that to someone, they just laugh at you because they're like, what do you mean? How can it not be gambling? But it's not. Like you literally name another thing that doesn't involve chance.
Yeah, like literally like investing normally is gambling in a sense, because you're putting your money in and it could just completely just disappear.
Well, yeah, you don't have any control.
Yeah.
Whether it goes up or down, that's... So this is... yeah, like you said, you summarized it well. You control how much you make.
Yeah, and I think like definitely having that control aspect was something that I needed in my life, because I was kind of like, the fact that I'm making money right now in my casual job, like I'm pretty happy with like how everything's going. Like, why should I invest? Like, I'm really happy with how everything's going. Like, I can go out with my friends a certain amount of times a week. I can like save a certain amount. So I'm like, why should I invest and then go back, like zero out and then like try work my way back up? But I was just kind of like, I think it was kind of a sense of like curiosity kind of like killed the cat, because like I just was so curious. I was like, if I don't do this, I will lose sleep over it, because I could be in like so much more of a better place if I did do well.
Do the people around you, like your friends especially that you're at college with, do they think, like, do you have conversations like this with them?
I think like in a way it's kind of a like I've started this journey, but I haven't fully been through it. Like once I kind of like, you know, hopefully make a little bit of money and like, you know, like I can see that it's working, I think that there'll be a lot more conversations around it. Whereas like I don't really want to like tell them to kind of invest in something that I don't know properly works.
Yeah,
like,
not even match betting, just more so the way that you think about like like just your finances, or like your future, or like learning something, or like investing your energy into something. Like, are your friends doing that with other things, or?
I think we're all like at a point where we're kind of like really happy with our uni degrees. We've got like a great friend group. We're obviously all looking to make a little bit of money. But I think we're just like we want to learn, obviously, and we all want to have enough money to go out and have fun with our mates, kind of thing. So I think there's like a few conversations around that, but other than that, everyone's just kind of like getting by in their own way, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
You like, everyone has different jobs. Everyone's kind of like here, there, and everywhere, and we just meet up every now and again.
Do your mates speak about money?
Yeah, we do speak about money quite a bit, because everyone's different ages as well. So like I'd be more cut off than like a few of my other friends who are younger and that kind of stuff. So
none of your mates, like, I feel like it's pretty uncommon for people to like fully speak about money in terms of like savings or what they're making or what their goals are. But with your kind of group, that's completely normal.
Yeah, like I feel like it's pretty normal. Like we're all pretty much on the same wage,
Yep.
making similar amounts. Yeah, I don't think many of us have many savings.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
That was my question, was like, if you continue on your trajectory, like without this investment,
Yeah.
where would you end up in 12 months? Like, would you have 20 grand savings, 10 grand savings? Like, do you want to share that? Like, are you balling or are you just chilling?
Definitely not balling.
Yeah.
And like at the end of the day, like I'm doing a university degree that will have me like back 15K at the end of the year. Like it's like pretty, and that's normal for like most university students, because like mine is going on HEX. Like I know a lot of people's are, and like it's been a massive issue in Australia that like that HEX is like appreciating so much, and like everyone, you know, so it grows so much, and it's hard to pay off. So I think like if this went really well, like that would be like one of my first things I would do, is like pay off my university HEX.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think that you have the capabilities to be able to do that for sure. So I told you after the free call that I'm excited to see where you end up. So you've never bet before?
Never.
Was that something that you were like, oh, I can't do this because I've never placed a bet? Did that ever cross your mind?
No, well, because this is a little bit mean as well, but like you go to the pub with your mates, like they're like pretty tipsy and they're placing bets. Like it's not rocket science. Like I knew that. Like I know that I'll be able to do it. I was just kind of like, I'm not going to get sucked into the vortex of betting, because I have seen like my friends, like, you know, as you said, like you make a certain amount, but the amount you lose is usually a lot more than what you make. And like people only see the big wins as like amazing, but like you don't see that they've invested double that to make a tiny amount.
Well, you're in a finance, like you're studying finance. A lot of people don't actually understand what profit is. No, like I'm not having a go. I'm saying like they think that because bets win, that it's fine, but they don't understand that profit is like the total of all of your betting. And you're
Exactly,
not in a profit.
Yeah, and you're not gonna see the amount that you've invested unless you physically write it down and add it up.
Correct. Or read
know?
your statement, but people don't want to look at that.
Yeah, and like not many people really do that because you're kind of just
do.
like you want to turn a blind eye and just see that you're like making all this money and you're like, yes, like
but you're not.
I'm doing so well on my multis that is so horrible.
Yeah.
So of your mates, how many of them bet like that, and how often?
Well, I don't want to like generalize here, but like pretty much all my guy friends, like we're all at the pub like watching the footy, the rugby, whatever, and most people are betting because it makes it funner.
Well, it wouldn't even be your mates. Like, it'd just be anyone at the pub.
Yeah.
Like, they don't have to be your mates. Everyone, if you walk into any pub on a Saturday in Australia, there are people in there that are either riding their multi, they're riding a horse, they're riding a greyhound. Like, that's just normal.
Yeah, and like...
That's our culture.
Yeah. So, and I think it's like a massive like part of Australia betting, which is like you go to the footy and someone's like, oh, like I just need this person to just get one more touch, like kick one more goal and like I'm on, you know?
Yeah.
And so I obviously think it makes life a lot more fun to watch a sport if you've kind of like got a little bit of like a stake in it. Like you're like, yes, like it just makes it so much more enjoyable for that person. But I've never kind of done that because...
Do you actually believe that?
I only believe it because you want to get money from it.
Yeah, okay.
Like, I think I go and I love it because I'll choose a team and just want them to win. And I just think that gives me the same satisfaction. But I've never bet and won and felt that feeling to want that again.
Yeah.
So, like, I think I'm, like, in a good position where I don't know that. So
Because I reckon it ruins it.
Yeah.
I think it does the opposite to what you said, because then you can never go or watch a game or be invested in a game unless you have money on it.
Yeah, well,
and you're not even invested in the game itself. It's like, oh, I need this player to get a disposal. And it's like, well, what's the score, bro? Like, what's happening in the game? I don't know. My guy's out here on the wing. He needs to get a disposal. So,
and it makes it, like, stressful and everything, but I wouldn't know.
Yeah. Why have you never bet?
Because
I have a lot of girl mates that have sports bet accounts and they've placed bets, or if we go to the races, they'll have a bet. Like, why have you not?
I just, like, in my mind, I'm kind of like, I have never followed a sport to the point that I'd bet. Like, I, like, love to watch it if, like, I'm, like, at the pub on the weekend, or, like, you know, like, if it's on the TV, like, I'll watch a game. But, like, I'm not the kind of person that's, like, if I've got 20 uni assignments, I'm not going to turn on the sport. Instead, like, I'm going to sit there and do the uni assignments. So, like, I've just never really been the person that's, like, I want to chuck that on and, you know, watch that and, like, place a bet. Like, I've just never...
Yeah, it sounds like you need to be a bit more informed as to where you're using or spending your money.
Yeah, and I was just kind of like, I've always kind of been the person that I want to be, like, fully informed before I do anything. Hence why I really wanted to, like, join Platinum Squad before even setting up a betting account.
Yeah.
Just because I wanted all the information. I wanted, like, all my ducks in a row before I kind of was like, okay, let's do this.
I know you wanted to discuss this. We spoke about this a little bit before you rocked up here today.
Yeah.
Guys v girls, just in terms of thinking about gambling, the money that they spend, the way in which they look at taking risks. Let's dive into that a little bit more. Why do no girls bet? Or why does such a small minority of females bet?
I just think
Why do you think? We don't have the answers, but why do you think?
Yeah, well, I think it's like speaking kind of like more on like me and the people that I hang around, and like my friends and stuff, we kind of just value money, I think, a little bit differently to like our guy friends, because we, like, our guy friends will just be like betting like a few, like, you know, $10 here and there on like, on whatever, like, sport that they want to. Whereas like we'd prefer probably like to save and spend it on like clothes or like going for a nice dinner or something like that. So it kind of just depends like where you want to invest your money, what you value. Like, for example, like investing $2,000 into like betting as opposed to a handbag. Like, I'd jump for the handbag. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
So it's just kind of like, I guess it depends how you value things and like what you want to invest in.
Yeah. But you're saying investing. Do you think that the people that you see at the pub, do you think that they think they're investing?
But then that's like where I just think differently.
Yeah.
Because I could never just be like, oh, it's just $10. unless I was at the races placing it, like giving it
away
to the
cash.
person.
Yeah. Okay.
Because then I feel like that's a bit different to seeing it come out of my bank account. Like I'd be the person who would add up all my bets I'm placing and be like, oh, you know, like I'm really down, like I need to stop.
Yeah.
So
Would you say you're attached to money? Like, that's not a
yeah,
bad thing.
in
but
a way.
It feels like you are more than the male who just throws $10, $20 on shit.
Yeah, well, because I kind of see like, I think I really think about everything that I spend my money on, and I love traveling, and I would really prefer to like bank that away. Because if you bank away like $10 that you might have spent on like a random bet, that's like heaps of money that you can spend, you know, if you travel somewhere. So
yeah, this
sounds like you
scripted, bro.
When you were younger, but you used to bet, but every cent you used to count and then just launch it on travel.
Yeah, well, that's what I just liked doing. But literally every cent. I wouldn't buy any, like I never bought clothes. I never did any shit like that. Like even when I used to go out back in uni days, it'd be like, I've got $30. I mean, you can't go out for $30 now, but you used to be able to. Shows how old I am now. But yeah, you used to be able to go out for $30 and I would not spend more than $30 because I'd be like, yeah, every other cent, like I'm going to Europe in June. So like
that's
every other cent is going there.
I'm the same. Like I'll transfer from like my savings to my bank account exactly what I'm spending that night, and I'll be like, oh, can't spend any more tonight. Yeah. Like, you know,
I'm done.
Now I just got to go have fun and vibes. Like,
now I'm sipping other blokes' beers. No, like seriously though, that's what I used to do.
But
same. I think it made me, I don't know if it made me who I am, but yeah, I think it definitely afforded me to be able to do things that a lot of other people that were my age didn't get to do. Yeah,
and I think like experiences are really valuable in life, and you have to live them and be there in order to get them. Like you have to travel to different countries to like figure out different cultures and stuff like that. So I think in order to do that, you have to have a bit of playing money, which does come from banking away $10 a week, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. When you hear, well, maybe you haven't heard this, but what would you say to someone, right, that says that they can afford to lose that $20 a week? Like I can afford, like my life doesn't change. I can afford to lose it.
Well, I just think that they're on a different trajectory than I am.
But like explain that.
Well, because if they can afford to lose $20 a week, like they're probably not thinking about next year, June, I really want to go to Europe and I really want to, because that's a cocktail at a really fun bar in Europe.
$20 a week is like, that's a low amount. Most people could.
Yeah.
But I think people
no, but it's not
saying
about
that are doing $500 a week. And that's where it gets, like that's an extra.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, I don't think it matters. $20 a week is still $1,000, and you know, $1,000 that you piss away because you're sitting on the couch or whatever.
Sorry to interrupt, guys. It's Steve here. If you're sick of the ads on YouTube, jump over to Spotify or Apple Music, and you can listen to the podcast there.
And the other thing as well that you mentioned that I wanted to circle back to is like when you spoke about that, like betting in the pub, you know, it's kind of fun and whatever. You're in the same pub as them. Hanging out with them, having just as much fun, right? Yeah. Arguably more, because if you don't lose money, which most people are, that doesn't play on your mind, or you don't think, shit, like I lost $10, or you just have like I'm just in the pub with the same people having the same amount of fun watching the same game.
Yeah.
So I find that, I hate when people say that now. And I used to do that all the time. I used to gamble all the time. I used to go to the races. I used to love it. And I used to fully buy into it's way more fun doing it.
Yeah.
And I'm still not fully convinced that there isn't any fun to gambling. I still think that there potentially is, but I hate the argument that you can afford to lose it, because that's just saying that like I have this leftover money, but it's not considering, like you said, what else could you be spending it on? Or like, are you still worried about your rent, or are you still worried about your mortgage, or did you not get your partner something nice or whatever? And then it's like, well, maybe you can't actually afford it.
Yeah. Well, I think it circles back to like, you know, what your friends are kind of like thinking about as well, because like, as you said before, you asked me about how my friends kind of think about it, and we actually do. We'll go out and we'll be like, well, you know, like that's like 2 drinks at the pub. So we do think about that, like, and we chat about it. And so I think that like valuing money in that kind of sense, and like wanting to save and wanting to grow your savings, and then like also wanting to have a good time, like I just think you're more aware of what you're spending things on.
Yeah, that's the key. The awareness. Like, what is this dollar getting me?
Yeah, exactly. And like on our phone call, like one of the things that really like made me go, okay, like I'm going to put this money aside and I'm going to invest it. And if, you know, there is like a weird ad on the other side that says, haha, got your money. I was like, you know what? They can have my money because they did really well. Like this, if this is a scam, they've done great and they can have my investment. Clip. Yeah. But I think it was when you were saying to me, you were like people leave school and if you don't go to university, like you are going straight into a job and you're usually earning like a, you know, good sum at the end of the year. And like me, like I'm not earning very much at the end of the year because like I'm half like full time at uni. And so I think like investing that time and money into uni, like it sets you back at the start. Then like, I mean, going to uni, like you're hoping at the end, you're going to hopefully do a bit better than your friend who didn't go to uni. So I think like also just having a different perspective on like the long run, I think is also
well, you asked
really
me because
thing.
that tied into, you asked me, well, if everything you're telling me is true, why doesn't everybody do that?
Yeah.
And I told you that like I asked myself that same question like every morning I wake up for 4 years. Yeah. All of my friends that I used to hang out with, like all the time, I'd be like, bro, like why are you gambling? Like just do this. I'm doing it. Like I'm fully doing it. And they just wouldn't do it. But then I flipped it back onto you and I said, well, it's the same reason why not everyone wants to go to uni and study and do all that stuff for 4 years, because they can't be fucked. Yeah. They don't, like it's just, they just don't want to do that.
It's time and energy, and like, you know, your mates might be going out on a Saturday night, you've got an assignment due. Like bad luck, you have to sit and do the assignment, you know? Because otherwise like you're spending all this money on something that you're going to fail. Like there's no point doing that.
Well, that's the other part to it, is like a lot of people, because on these free calls that we have, there's always like 3 excuses, right? They don't have enough time, they don't have enough money, or they've already done some betting so they can't get sign-up bonuses. Those are like the 3, or to be honest, like my missus said no. And all of the time when you dial that back and you just like keep breaking down the objection, it all just comes back to they either don't fully believe that it's true or they don't think that they can do it.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you think that, then you're cooked for life. Like
you're never going to do it if you
won't do anything.
Don't try.
Correct.
Yeah.
Which is where it comes back to, like, you just keep asking them all these questions and it's like, all right, we got to the end of it. You don't think that you can do it. So what do you gain by believing that? Yeah,
well, I think the way that you guys speak, like on your podcast and stuff, and you just say, you know, anyone can do it as long as you invest the time and the energy. Like, and if you walk away from it and you zero out and you don't do very well, at least you have the knowledge, you know?
What would you consider to be like a failure for you now in this space? Like what's the worst case scenario from right now when you walk out today?
Today?
Yeah. After you leave today, what's the worst thing that can happen now that you're in the Platinum squad? Like the worst case scenario from here.
The worst case scenario would be I did invest the time and the energy into it and, you know, like didn't do very well. Like there's not much that can go wrong from here because, you know, like it's all about me now. Like as we said, like it's all about control, like depending on kind of like how I do it. Like, you know, like I could walk away from here and not invest the time and not do it properly and never like look back at it again. Like, and then I would just kind of, it would be a waste of time kind of thing for me. But I wouldn't do that. So like,
but what I'm trying to get at is like nothing.
Yeah, nothing. Exactly.
Like your life, nothing's gonna nothing bad's gonna happen. Like your life won't change.
And also like I'm so about experiences, as I said before. Like I'd never thought that I'd be here. I've gone down a rabbit hole and now I'm sitting here like talking to you on a podcast. Like,
do you reckon? Yeah, that's funny.
I never thought that I'd be here, and I just think it's a cool adventure. And you know, if like in 20 years I have kids, and then I'm like, oh well, you know, yeah, like I did that, haha. Like nothing's.
That's elite that you're thinking that far ahead.
Yeah,
like, good on you.
Sorry, maybe not 20. It's a bit far.
It's good.
No, that's.
But yeah.
Yeah, I want to ask. You keep saying zero out. What does that mean to you?
It means like you invest in the Platinum squad, and then you aren't doing very well in your like bets and whatever, and you just take all your money back and you're back at square one.
So you don't lose.
Yeah.
You just take
Well, you
everything.
can't, like, for example, like, you can't go into the negatives. That was also one of my, like, worries, is I was going to negative. And
Yeah.
you can't do that, as I spoke to you.
Explain that. What do you mean?
Like, if you bet $20 and you lose $20, you've zeroed out. You're not losing negative $5. I don't know. For some reason, that was a worry in my head, that I was going to, like, be worse off, but you can't be.
So I think I'm going to try and explain what you just said. I think what you're trying to say is, like, if you do match betting properly and you start with your $1,000,
Yeah.
unless you, like, make a mistake or gamble,
Yeah.
your $1,000 can't go to zero.
Yeah.
That's what you're trying to say,
Yeah.
right?
Because of hedging, yeah?
Yeah.
Is that what,
Well, because of the methods that you're using. Like,
Yeah.
you can't... We had this discussion with old
You
mate
can't,
Nick.
like, lose.
Correct.
Yeah.
But losing is... You can lose bets, right? But what people don't understand is that, like, match betting, these are techniques and methods designed to make money.
Yeah.
So when you're investing into that, if you do it properly, which everyone in the Platinum Squad is doing, you can't go to zero. Like, the money can't go to zero.
Yeah.
You're not gambling.
Exactly.
And a lot of people really either don't understand that concept or they really grapple with it. They're like, no way. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way. Like,
But
they're betting. There's no way you can't go to zero.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what, like, I was kind of, like, coming to terms with that. And that's why I asked you a few questions around it.
Yeah.
And you were like, no, like, you can't. Because another thing that I was worried that I was going to put money on one team, go to the other, put money on the other team, and then the odds would have changed. And I would, like, be like, oh my God, like, I can't deal with this.
you're calling it rate as well. Now you call it odds. You're like, if the rate changes, like you bet on West Coast, they're $5.
Yeah, okay.
And then the rate changes and now it's $3. Do I get $3? It's like, no, it's just like a share. You bought it at.
Yeah.
So I think that's how I explained it.
Yeah,
right?
that's
what
how
I'm
you
saying. I
explained it.
listened to the call before,
Which I
It was
think is,
funny when you
like,
said
good to
rate.
know as well.
Yeah, for context, on the call, you asked me if you bet on West Coast at $5 and then something happens or the game, not even the game starts, like something happens, maybe like two players are out and now West Coast are like $3.50. You're like, do I get the $5 or do I get the $3.50? And I was saying, yeah, once your bet's on and accepted,
It's set.
it's
at
set.
that.
Like you're
Yeah.
locked in. It's like buying a share at, you buy Tesla at $5 and then Elon tells you he's closing up shop and then the Tesla price goes to $3.50 and you're like, oh shit, but you bought it at $5. So that was interesting. And I just want to highlight that because it just shows that you know nothing about betting, which is sick.
exactly.
Like it's cool that you know nothing and you're still having a crack.
Yeah, and I also think, like, all your videos, like, you literally explain it from, like, nothing. So you do end up understanding it, like, after a while. And I actually wanted to ask you, like, do you think it's kind of, like, you know, when you're learning a new game and everyone's just like, oh, just play it and you'll understand it. Like, do you think that, you know, match betting is kind of like that? Like, once you start kind of getting, like, a grasp on it, you're like, oh, okay, it's not that hard.
Yeah. You have to do it.
To
Like
understand.
there's a theory part of it, which is necessary.
Yeah.
But you can't get good at it unless you do it. So you can learn, it's like a musical instrument. You can go study books, you can go study a chessboard, same thing. But like unless you move the pieces, unless you start playing the strings or the keys or bet and match them and hedge, you're not going to learn.
Yeah.
So you haven't even placed a bet yet still? You're still
haven't.
learning.
Yeah, I'm still learning.
Well, we can ask you that question. Do you feel like you understand the game yet?
Yeah, well, that's the thing, because I've kind of been looking at this stuff and I've been like, yeah, I get it, but like I've never done it.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of still a bit like a bit hesitant. But like I think that's why I wanted to ask you that, because to me it seems like once I like start doing it, I'll be like, oh, you know, like if I place a bet on that, like that'll be good and that will be bad, and like I shouldn't waste my time and money on that, and you know, kind of things like that.
Yeah.
It's just like learning anything, really.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think any of the skills that you need per se for match betting are difficult. Like, can you punch these numbers into a calculator? Yes. Can you follow these instructions in this video? Yes. All of that stuff is easy, but it's like, okay, I'm not very good at this when I start doing it. Oh, fuck this.
Yeah.
Betfair's
Can't
so
be
hard.
bothered.
I give
Yeah.
up. But if you do that with anything, like, you're not going to get good at it. But once you get good at it, it's so easy. Like, match betting is really, really easy. Like, think about the free course, right? Most people don't finish that.
But I think like also a reason that people are like, you know, how are they making these like massive figures if like that's what they're doing? Because I think when I was watching the free course, like you make like $7, like, ooh,
That's
like,
valid.
And so I think that a lot of people go, oh, it's $7. Like I can, make triple that on my 1 hour shift, so.
For sure. And that's, again, what we discussed. Like, that's the start, though.
Yeah. And, like, I think that that's what people kind of need to come to terms with is, like, you're doing that, but you're doing, like, so much more than that behind the scenes. So that's only one thing coming in, which I think, like, you kind of need to have all the information to kind of, like, get.
Yeah. Well, it's a bit of a trap when you compare the, like, I can work at my retail job for $25 an hour, so why would I make $12 an hour doing this match betting stuff to start? And it's like, well, that's because in 12 months' time, in the retail store, you'll still be getting $25 an hour. But if you're a match better and you make it through, like if you progress through, you could be making $200 an hour.
So you're making like your base rate and then like whatever, well, the way I see it, making like what I am, and then like whatever's above that is like great. Like, it's just extra.
Yeah, like you're making money in the learning process.
Yeah.
So like you're an absolute noob and you're still making money.
Yeah.
So then it's like, well, what happens when I'm, not a noob, when I'm like a, intermediate, or what happens when I'm a pro? And then it's like, well, you're just stacking all this on top of each other. Whereas if you just stay at the retail job, you just stay there.
Yeah. You're just like that.
You're capped. You're capped.
Yeah.
It's just the amount of hours that you spend at that store is how much money you can make. And that's the only factor for work is how many hours I do it. Whereas for match betting, it's like, did I learn a new skill? Did I get more efficient at my bonuses? Did I add another method to my setup? Like, do I have now a bigger bankroll to do a larger unit size? Like, all of these things you can grow really quickly. And the longer that you're here, all of these 5 factors start to grow and grow. And it's not just like time. Yeah. Because you can get more bang for your time. Like you start on a $10 bet, right? And then in 12 months' time, you're on a $100 bet. It's the same amount of time, but you're getting 10x the return. Yeah. Just because you got to that level. Whereas at the end of the year, for your normal job, $25 an hour at the start of the year, end of the year, you might get a pay rise. Maybe you get $30 an hour. But that's, you're not 10xing.
20% increase.
Yeah, exactly. And I just think that for me, I was kind of just like, well, I may as well give it a try because in 3 years' time, I might be way better off than I am now. And I can continue doing it indefinitely, like as long as I don't get banned.
You can do both as well. It's not one or the other. Like exactly. How many hours a week are you doing your side job or whatever?
I think it's just like 1-2 days.
So maybe? Like 10 to 15?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you might get to a position where you scrap that. I mean, we're not making promises, but like there's plenty of uni students who have gone on, learn match betting, and then by month 6 to 12, they're like, well, stuff this. I can make more money in my match betting hours and I don't really love my job. So there's an extra 15 hours a week. Like someone over there is like, he's done that. Plenty of people done it. So, I mean, maybe 6 months away for you, but that's something maybe you should look forward to as well.
Yeah, yeah.
If you hate your retail job. If you like it, keep doing it.
I do like it.
Well, then keep doing it.
What do your friends think about this? Do they know that you're doing this?
Yeah, I've told a few of them and they're all like, I think it's just like noise because they're kind of just like, they haven't seen any, like.
Guys or girls?
Girls. Mostly. I've just kind of told the girls. And they're just kind of like, oh yeah, cool. Like, not sure. Like they haven't put in the time to like go through, like make sure it works. They kind of just are kind of like, oh, cool. Like,
yeah, good luck with it and see how you go.
Great. Like good on ya.
None of them bet?
No.
Is it like skepticism or curiosity so far or nothing?
I think it's skepticism because like I've been curious and that's why I'm kind of like on this journey. But I think a lot of people kind of just like, why would you do that? Like, why would you invest all this time and money and like resources into this where you're kind of like doing well already? Just happy with life. And I'm just kind of like, I always want that extra challenge. Like I'm always there for the, just do it for the fun. Like I like to like add a few things onto my story, like, so when I am a bit older, I've got like some interesting things to say. Like I don't want to be a boring old person.
What does a boring old person look like? What's a life that a boring old person would live? Like
kind of like never taken a risk, never tried anything, like never had their mates go, why are you doing that? Like,
do you reckon that's Aussie culture though? Like, are your friends, like the way that I think about it for most people is like most people would do exactly what you just said. Like, why are you doing that? Like, what?
Well, I just
that's
think
not what everyone does. Like,
generally Aussies are pretty happy. Like, we've got the sunshine, we've got the beach, we're living in a great country. Like, betting on the weekend with your friends. Like, watching games, going to the races. Like, we've got a good life as it is. So it's kind of like, why would you take a
Why are you trying
like,
to get more, or what are you doing? Yeah.
Where I'm kind of just like, I just get interested in things and I just can't sleep without trying it, like doing it.
Yeah, that's a good way to be.
What else have you done apart from this? Because it sounds like you've done some stuff, not just...
Well, so I've kind of like lived in 3 different states in Australia, like, and I'm pretty young, and lived in like another country, and like I think all of that kind of stuff, everyone's like, wow, I can't believe you've done that, I wish I did it. But like, do you wish you'd done it? Because you could have done it. Like, you know, like everyone can do these things and like no one's doing them. So I'm kind of like, yeah, okay, like, but you can do it.
What do you reckon stops them from doing it?
I think it's just the risk. Like, I think you can go overseas, like, not meet any friends, not make any money, like, and have to come home. Like, which is like...
But what do you lose if that happens?
Exactly. Like, I think you gain experience personally, because I'm like, you've tried this, you hated it, you know you shouldn't live in, like, Amsterdam because, like, you didn't like it. So I think that that's, like, adding experience, adding excitement into your story later on in life. Like, you can tell people, oh, Tom, you know, like, hated living in Amsterdam, like, it sucked. Then you'd be like,
I'd love to speak to them. I'd love to live in Amsterdam.
Me too.
Yeah, it's a great part of the world. Why are no girls in our community, or very few? Is it the vibe that we give off, or is it just betting?
I'm not 100% sure. I think it's the valuing money differently. And I think like when we like look at your YouTube, like it is very like, it's not very like aesthetic. It's just like, you know, like made 30 grand, like yes, like, you know, kind of like male energy, like woo, you know. So
does that make you think it's fake when you hear those crazy figures? Versus, I don't know, let's just say you make 5,000 in 12 months. Does that make you want to try it, or does 30,000?
Well, see, like when I started watching your videos, and it was like, you know, like if you invest a good amount of time and money, like you can make $1,000 in like a week. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's doable. Like when you like see or like in a month or something, like that's like makes a lot more sense to me than seeing it in like a big figure. But like once you kind of like understand the stepping stones to get there, you're kind of like, oh, okay, that does make sense. But I think seeing it straight up, like I've just been brought up in a family that's been like, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. So like,
but that's always like, that is true for sure.
For most things, yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
I guess.
Not always.
But even when you think about like match betting being too good to be true, maybe hearing the figures sounds too good to be true, but it's not like these guys, it's not like just join Platinum tomorrow and you make 10K.
Yeah.
Like the figure might sound too good to be true, but then it's like, no, you can make 10K, but over the next 12 months, you're going to invest 200 hours, you're going to watch all these videos, you're going to spend 4 hours on some Saturdays placing bets, you're going to make some mistakes. Now it doesn't sound too good to be true, right?
Well,
but it's the same
that's
thing.
where I think you clear everyone out.
For sure.
Because as I said, like, you know, you make $7, like everyone's like, oh.
Yeah, so it's not too good to be true.
It's kind of like 40K, you can make $7 in an hour.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But that's,
you know, like
that is what filters people out.
Yeah, and I think that's where there's probably less people than expected doing it, because like everyone sees these big figures, sees how you get there, and is kind of like, oh, can't be bothered. You know?
It is that.
Yeah, it is exactly that.
Because it isn't too... Yeah, I don't like... Because it's not too good to be true.
Yeah, but I think people, like, unless you do it yourself, you're never going to know that.
Yeah, for sure. Like, there aren't actually that many things that are too good to be true unless they're fake.
Yeah.
Like, if they're fake, because it isn't too good to be true because it's true, but you're investing all of your time and energy to make it true.
Yeah.
It's not like just sign up and you get 10K. That is too good to be true, and it isn't true.
That's what I think people expect nearly, is they're kind of like, you know, like, I want to sign up and be at the top. It's like, you're never going to do that even in life. Like, let's just be realistic.
Of course.
Do you reckon people think like that though?
Yeah, I think some people do.
No, as in they think like you just said, or they think they're actually just going to get to the top?
I think they just think they're going to get to the top. Like, you know, first week, place like 50 bets.
Yeah, they make $1,000 and like, geez, this is a piss take.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't
It's
work.
What I don't understand is if it's too good to be true to match bet, then isn't it too good to be true to go place a multi and win $5,000? That's too good to be true.
Yeah.
Because that's unrealistic. That's what people are doing instead of that.
I know.
That's the hard part to comprehend.
That is.
I'm not doing this. This is too hard. Takes too much time. But I'm just going to go and try and make $5,000 off this.
That's easy because like you don't have any logic behind it other than the fact that maybe it could win. You know, like it's so
Yeah,
easy.
there's no time, there's no effort, there's nothing. Everyone
there's
else
no
is doing
information.
it.
Really.
No one's going to give you a weird look. No one's going to say you're an idiot for trying. Nothing. It's just like
and your mates like that. Like more people are doing that, so they're going to be like, oh well, next time.
Yeah.
And so it's just kind of
Do you want to listen to content like this while you're mowing the lawn, driving to the gym, going to the grocery store? All these podcasts are actually available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you find it easier, check them out there. Enjoy the rest of the show.
How much chat is there about betting in your group with the male mates? We kind of went back on that before at the pub. When that's happening, is there any chat about it, or it's just happening and everyone just thinks that's normal?
Just kind of happening.
So you never ask anyone, any of the guys that are losing money, or did look at their bets or anything? Nothing?
No, not really.
Do the girls think it's like weird?
I just think in Australia, like, we don't have a weird culture about it. Like, we're not like, oh my God, you've just placed $50. Like, what are you doing with your life?
Yeah,
no one's
definitely
like
not that.
They're like, oh, cool.
But a lot of guys that I speak to, they'll be like, they won't join, or they're hesitant to join because they're like, oh, my missus hates gambling, or my missus knows that like gambling's crap, or she thinks this is gambling. So I always find it interesting that all these guys are gambling and losing, right? All of them. They don't think about it, or they don't care about it. But all of their misses are like, what are you doing? Like, you can't gamble our money because you're going to lose it. So they know that you're going to lose money, but the guys either are oblivious to it or they just don't care.
I think probably it's more of a like, don't care, because like I've listened to like lots of podcasts. Like I've got a few that are my favorite, and it's like gambling and betting in Australia is like one of the worst. Like we are one of the worst countries for it. Like we have like
the worst, yeah.
20% of the world's pokie machines, and like my friends will just go into a pub, go into the pokie room. Like I would never think of doing that ever.
Well, yeah, but I made a video about this the other week and didn't post it, but I was on a walk and I was thinking about like the bookies, gambling, whatever, pokies, whatever, like the whole culture that's been built in Australia, especially among definitely young dudes. If you're not losing money gambling, you're actually considered a loser. Like, I'll say that again. Like, if you're like, nah, man, I'm not going to bet. Like, you just lose money. It's not fun. They would think you're a loser.
Yeah.
But all the guys that are actually losing money and giving away their money to the bookies are considered cool.
Yeah.
So there's this massive amounts of like, I don't even know what it is, like psychology, but it's advertising and the culture that's been built by the bookies. And this whole industry is like, if you lose money and give your money to us, you're a cool guy. And if you decide not to do that, or you think about what you're doing, or you want to save your money and not give it to the bookies, you're a loser.
You're not fun at parties.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, I don't really know because I'm not part of it really. But like, I do understand exactly what you're saying, and like, I can literally see it.
Yeah,
like,
of course you can see it. Like, imagine one of
pub.
your guy mates is like, nah, bro, I'm not putting a multi on tonight. Like, it's just $10. I can get myself a couple of beers. Like, oh, come on, like you're a pussy. Or like,
everyone would say
such
that. Everyone
a loser.
You,
or
well,
you,
you
what
just
you're
give
betting
them a bit of
$2.
chat, really.
Of course you would, but that's like.
But I wouldn't. But.
But when you think about it, it's like that's so fucked.
Yeah.
If you don't want to lose money, you're a loser.
Yeah.
Whereas technically, like, in 20 years, 30 years
You're
time.
a winner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are.
Well, I just think, and I think like also at this
that.
age, like everyone kind of throws money around. Like you don't really understand the like value for money because, you're kind of like new to it in a way. Like you're not thinking like, well, most people aren't thinking, I want to like buy a house in 6 years. Like no one's really thinking about that. Like, oh, I should start saving now. Well, like a percentage of people are, but
yeah, but they're the ones that get ahead.
Yeah,
those are the ones that can buy the house, and then you see all the articles like, oh, how do these people afford houses before 30? And it's like, well, because they started thinking about it when they were 20.
Yeah,
and they worked towards it. And
cycling back, like also to the, like, is this legit with you guys? Like, and with the whole like, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. Like, I was kind of like, if these guys are scamming people, they would have been on the news. Like,
Legit though.
You would have been in the newspapers, on the news, like, scammers.
Steve made a video, tongue in cheek.
Pardon?
Trying to get
Steve if we got on the news, that'd be even better, like, because then we could scam more people if it was just a scam. But Steve made a video and it was a piss take. And he said that even if this was a scam, go and create a scam now and try and sell it. Like, go do that now. You will not sell anything. It's actually hard to sell anything full stop. So if it's a scam, it's actually harder to sell a scam than it is to sell something that's actually legit.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
people don't think like that. They just say scam without much thought. So I'm glad that you actually found your way through all of that.
Well, I think like, and also like cross-referencing on the different platforms like YouTube,
Yeah, you did the
Spotify,
homework.
all that stuff. Like I was just kind of like exactly what I said. If they've scammed me, take my money. Because like, well done to you. I don't know how you did that, but good on you.
I was fascinated. You said you went through all of that stuff and then you did the free course. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well,
How long was that? Like a week, 2 weeks?
I was probably sitting on it for a month. And then I was kind of like, and then after the free course, I was like, I may as well just book a call because what have I got to lose? That was my like mindset.
Was there anything that made you get through? Like, why didn't you go straight to the free course? Or you just didn't know it existed? Or
I was more like skeptical about spending my time doing that because like I do, and as you said, like people, the biggest excuse is they can't find time because time is like precious. You know, like you want to go out and like go for a run instead of watching like a 1 hour video. Like I get it. I'm the same.
Go for a run. I would say most people would rather watch Netflix or go for a run. That's elite.
You know what I mean? Like you want to like do something else. Like, and I fully understand the that people want to do other things and can't find the time. But I think anything in your life that you kind of like want to do, you can find the time for. You just have to wake up earlier.
It's just priorities.
You know, yeah.
What do you say? You do the things that you spend your bank account?
Oh, yeah. The dollars that you spend are the things that you vote like important to you. So if you look through your bank account.
Well, that's what I mean with the valuing money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you went through, like, if I saw your bank account, for example, I would be able to tell what you value. Yeah. Just by looking at it. It wouldn't matter what you told me. Like, I value like healthy eating and like going for runs and
it's got, like,
and then all it is
chips
like
and
it's like
gyros
Macca's and then
handbags.
it's like, I love saving money, and then your whole thing is just like, you know, Prada and Gucci, and it's like, well,
exactly.
do you? So I like that one because it's like go and have a look at. You don't have to think what you value. Just go and look at your bank account, and it'll tell you straight away.
Yeah, and I like that you guys are like, you know, like you can do our free course and you can be set for 2 months. Like, great, go and do your thing. But like,
that's not who we're looking for. So if you want to do that, that's fine.
Yeah, exactly. But I like that you say that is you're going to be like, great, like go and do that. Good luck to you. But you're like, if you really want to like knuckle down and like try and make something out of it, it's when you need to come to the Platinum Squad and like invest the time, the energy, all that stuff, and you know, like protect your accounts, and like you'll have a longer kind of match betting career.
Yeah.
Journey. Career.
Journey.
I like career.
I don't know. Yeah.
How far into the videos are you?
I'm through module 1 nearly. I've got like a little bit left of the end of setting up your accounts.
Yeah, so you're still like very raw.
Very raw. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said a failure is walking out of this office, not doing anything.
Yep.
What's a success in the next 12 months?
Well, as I said before, like a success for me would be like just being able to pay off my uni. Like I would just be over the moon.
1 year or 5 years or 4 years or however long it is?
Yeah, I would like to be able to do like pay off 1 year in a year. That would be like good
So what is that?
value
10
time.
10 to 15K, is it?
Yeah, probably 10.
Per year?
Yeah.
So 20K.
So in 12 months' time, if you sit back here after all the other cool things you've done and you've made 10K from match betting, you'd be like, that's a huge tick.
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
Literally, if I made like anything, I'd be like, oh my God, this is great. Like, because that's kind of how I like to have my mindset is I don't like to be disappointed. Like, I like to kind of like set like a base. Amazing if I make a bit of money, like I'm already better off. And then like anything after that is just like adding layers, like, yes, like wins.
Yeah.
And, you know, like resetting your goal every time you kind of like, because I don't know how much time like I'll be able to invest into it and like how much that, like, you know, it's all about reward for me. So like the time that I invest in, I want to have a bit of reward for. So then like I'll like readjust my goals because I'll be like, oh yeah, like that's achievable. So then I'll kind of adjust it considering like what I can achieve because I am quite realistic with that stuff.
Yeah, I would say that you are very realistic. But I think the way that you think and the way that you've approached this and the way that you look at your life, I think that you have huge potential to be really successful here because for most people when they join, the hardest thing is getting them to think about 12 months down the line, let alone 20 years that you spoke about before. I know that maybe you weren't actually thinking about 20 years ahead, but if you can see in 12, 18, 24 months, if I do this for ages, I'm going to be really good at this and I'm not going to get a huge reward at the start. Most people that think like that end up smashing it in this space because that's the hardest thing you have to drill into almost everyone that starts. I've done it for a month and I made $300. How are these guys making 10K? Well, they've been doing it for 12 months. So you just got to get there. But
I think I've also had like hammered into me by like my parents is they were just like, you know, any career that you're going to go into, like young people these days, that's what they say.
Yeah.
Young people these days, like they go into an accounting firm and they just want to be the top. You're never going to do that. Like you're going to be the little person that goes and gets the coffees in the morning and, you're going to do the stuff that no one wants to do.
Yeah.
And I think like my year abroad really taught me that because I was doing the worst things that no one wants to do. And like that's always how you're going to start. So you're not going to start with earning like 40K a year. It's never going to start like that. You know, like you have 100%. To like earn it. You have to put in the time. You have to invest into it. And that's like what I think the main thing is you have to have a mindset that's like that. Yeah,
that's elite parenting. I hope I end up being a parent like that. That's sick.
Don't
so
hope.
shout out. Shout out to your parents. No, well, I won't hope. I'm just saying like that's sick. Shout out to your parents. Good. There have actually been little side quests. There have actually been a few parents that got involved recently to help their kids like either stop gambling or be like, look, if you're going to bet, you need to know how to do match betting. So we've got like a mum doing the course with her son. We've got a dad doing the horse system with his son.
Love
we had an older guy join last week who he's got like a 30-year-old son who loses quite a bit punting. And he's like, I've just had enough of it. I'm going to learn all of this and then I'm going to go and teach him. So yeah, it's sick that your parents have like kind of nothing to do with match betting, but they've like been like, well, this is how the world works.
Yeah.
So don't feel sorry for yourself. Just fucking know that that's how it works and go and make the best of it.
So many people kind of like, will like, you know, as you say, like bet and be like, oh, poor me, they lost. Like, it's like, well,
so unlucky.
You've placed the bet, like, you know,
it's
tough love.
Yeah.
Like, it's don't do it next time kind of thing. Yeah.
I like that. I want you to finish this off by saying, I don't know, give us 30 seconds of something like, there's a young girl watching this right now that's maybe watched some of our YouTube, maybe done the free course, but she's like, this is just for dudes. Because you said like our YouTube's not aesthetically pleasing. We're a bit like boys. Like, why are you here? And what can you say to like a girl?
Barrel that.
God, I need a second to think here.
Yeah, that's fine.
Straight on the spot. I just kind of think like, you know, like I've been like thrown in the deep end like a few times with things I've done in my life. And I just think you're never going to succeed if you're like, well, you know, so-and-so over there earns so much more than me, like they're going to do so much better in life. Like you're never going to do that if your mindset is that. You just need to have the mindset that you can succeed. If you've got the knowledge is power. Like if you've got all of that and you're willing to put in the time and effort, like you will do well, usually in life. Like if you're willing to put something in, you'll usually get something out, even if it's just experience.
Nice. I like that.
What about guys who are losing? What would you say to them?
Well, I think it's a bit of a touchy subject because I think like if you're losing big, like you kind of have to go and get like some help. Like you will probably just need to remove yourself from the whole like betting industry.
Yeah, it's not for you.
What about people like towards the start / they're losing, I can afford to lose $50 a week or $100 a week?
I think if you can have the right mindset and you can like invest 2K into something like this and like time, energy and change the way that you think, because also like as you said, like a lot of betting is emotional. Like, you know, like you love the Sydney Swans, yes, like I'm gonna bet on them. You can't really be like that because we're just trying to like not lose here, you know. And so I think that you need to reframe how you're thinking, and that's probably the first step.
That's the biggest one. I don't think you even have to reframe it. I just think you actually have to think.
Yeah,
no,
true.
He's laughing.
True.
People don't think.
Just think. Please just think.
Yeah.
You don't have to reframe it because right now you're not actually thinking.
Yeah,
you're just doing what everyone else is doing.
Bets
literally
here and there.
You're very in check with reality because your parents have given you, I think, some really good grounding in terms of knowing what the expectations are. I think a lot of people go wrong when their expectations are just not within the realms of reality, and then they just get blown away by overwhelming whatever feelings. So yeah, it's good to see. I think you'll do well.
Yeah. And then my question for you guys is like, what is your kind of the longevity plan of your business, because as you said, like 3 years ago, the betting legislation was so different. It's kind of like, are people going to invest in your platinum squad this year and next year they're all going to be banned because the, you know, like the coding, whatever is behind like the bettors, the bookies, are they kind of going to ban everyone that's match betting, and like what's everyone's long plan?
Well, I'll answer the first part. Maybe JP can dive into the longer plan.
Yeah.
But as long as the only thing that would ever stop this from existing is if there was like legislation that was passed that deleted all bonuses, all inducements, all advertising, which would pretty much kill the entire industry. It wouldn't just kill match bettors, like it would cripple the gambling industry. Now that's potentially a possibility. Who knows? Like, never going to say never, right?
Yeah.
There's talk of it. There was talk of it 5 years ago. There's talk of it again now. So no one knows, right? But right now, there's a huge opportunity to take advantage of. So if you're not taking advantage of it because you think something might happen in the future, just control what you can control, which is what we're doing, right? So if you join Platinum and you go through all of the content, it's my opinion that if match betting got deleted in 6 or 12 months, you're still miles better off, even if you haven't made a cent. Now, you might not believe that yet. You haven't finished it, but that's what I believe. In terms of like the long term, like, God, I feel like we haven't moved away from match betting, but there's so much more value that can be gained from surrounding yourself with people who think the same way as you. For example, if you're in a room with all the people that think the same way as you guys are going to think up ideas or discover certain things or move in certain directions that if you're in a room with 10 gamblers who all think about like that it's fun to lose money, that you're going to go in a different direction, right? So our community is moving in a direction where it's like, and you said it, like we're filtering people out. Fully we are. Like if you're not here to do things properly, if you don't want to have a crack, if you're not here for 12 months, you're not the person that we're looking to join our community. So we feel like if we can get another 500 or 1,000 like-minded individuals into our community, who knows what we can cook up. So that's what we're kind of focusing on in terms of like, yeah, I just can't see a world where if you join and you do this properly that you don't gain something from it. So that's where I see that in terms of like longer term business.
Yeah. I've been pretty clear with personally wanting to change 1 million lives. Now, that sounds extreme, but the only way that's going to happen is if what he says happens, like we keep growing as a community, as this like, I guess a cult really, to help people change and to think differently and to better themselves. Like you probably picked up in the content that it's not just about betting. There's the way you think, the mindset, the discipline. That is all transferable into pretty much anything. Like, if you want to get, like we've been posting a lot about, like Tom's been smashing gym stories and running stories and food. If we're not practicing what we preach and showing you how that mindset can transfer into other areas of life, then we're not showing you the true possibility of the power of that mindset. So yes, we're going to teach match betting. We'll continue to teach that. We'll move to the US. But in essence, the whole core of why we're doing this is not just about making money. It's just being better at everything and thinking better and being a better human really for yourself and to make yourself better. That's the aim of this business and whatever you want to call it, community. It's going to keep growing. We're up to 1,500 members now. I'd be shocked if that's not like 5K by the next 12 months and beyond. So who knows? We'll just control that. In regards to the promos, like Tom said, if you join, you're going to have the skills there that you can transfer into other things anyway. And you can apply a lot of these principles to other money-making things.
The other thing I was going to say with the promotions, like let's just say that like no laws ever pass, which they haven't yet. What will happen is if we still live in a country where the large majority of people are gambling and losing, there's always going to be opportunities if you're in the minority to make money. So the reason that match bettors can make money, and you even asked, like, don't the bookies know about this? Like,
well, because one thing that I was like curious about is, like, do the bookies talk to each other?
Yeah.
Like, how are they figuring out that you're placing a two-way dart?
They don't.
They're just identifying things that stand out.
That kind of look like
$4
your
to
like the
$9
patterns and like
bonus bet all the time, new bookmaker, just like things that we teach in module 1.
The bookies know match betting exists though. They're fully aware that people can take advantage of the promos and specials and offers, but they're just banking on the fact that everyone in the pub that you're at, even if they know that it exists, right? Like we already discussed, even if they know that match betting exists, it's just easier to gamble.
Yeah.
And this promo, like I'm going to get a bonus back, who cares? So that's why all of those bonuses and all of those promos, all those specials, that's why they exist. The bookies are like, yeah, cool. One in 1,000 people are going to use this to their advantage and make money, but 999 other people are going to see that promotion and bet more or place more bets and then get into these bad habits and then get bet with us for life. So we'll cop this. We're not even a drop. Don't worry about the ocean. We're not even a drop in the bucket. So like, I'm not really worried about that. Like the only reason we get rid of it is promotions. They're not going to get rid of, is the law. They're not going to get rid of promotions because of match bettors, because these promotions, these bonuses are just a recipe for them to print money because everybody else just donates their money because of these promos. So like, I'm definitely not worried about, like, even if we had 5,000 members, I still don't even think would be, like, it wouldn't matter. Because by the time we have 5,000 members, there'd be 50,000 more people that have got addicted to gambling. So they're always miles ahead.
500,000 or 5 million, yeah. Ask you the question, how many match bettors do you know? And then how many gamblers do you know?
A lot more gamblers than
Would you know any match bettors?
Nope.
The one family friend.
But I don't even know them.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Do you reckon you would have done this? That was my last question. Would you have done this if that person didn't tell you on that ski trip that their son lived off match betting during uni?
Not necessarily. Like, I have heard of it, but I never was like, oh, okay, you know, like,
It's a legit thing.
let's like look this up.
Yeah.
Like, I think like once I looked it up, I went down the rabbit hole. I was kind of like, oh, like, you know, this could actually be really fun to like just, you know, like get the experience. Like, because I was even like, even if someone has a conversation with me later in the future about it, at least I know what it is.
Yeah.
Like, I like being able to like have conversations about things that other people can't. Like, I just find that that's fun in itself.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, you got anything else?
No.
No, that was good.
That's one of our best, I think.
I really enjoyed that, and I'm excited to see where you end up. Like, I really think that you can smash it here. No pressure, but just the way that you think and the way that you approach this. And yeah, maybe we can get you on in 12 months' time. Again, no pressure, but if you end up being a success story, I think it'll be a little bit of a, not inspiration, I don't know, but at least other girls will be like, oh, she did it. Why the fuck can't I do it?
Well, I hope that's the case.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Good work. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
No worries.
Nice.